Recent war game simulations have alarmed military and political leaders in both Asia and United States about a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan in 2026. These simulations have cast doubt on China's ability to win the invasion. Will it, in fact, fail? According to predictions, if the United States takes over defense, China will fail. We'll have to wait and see whether they succeed or fail, but stay tuned for more on why China's invasion of Taiwan will fail. China has the world's largest modern navy, and by the end of the conflict, at least 2 US aircraft carriers would be at the bottom of the Pacific. The Center for Strategic and International Studies reached those and other conclusions after conducting one of the most extensive wargame simulations ever conducted on a potential conflict over Taiwan, the democratically ruled island of 24 million people that the Chinese Communist Party claims as part of its sovereign territory, despite it never having controlled it. China's President Xi Jinping has not ruled out using force to subjugate the island to Beijing. CNN obtained an advanced copy of the report titled The First Battle of the Next War, on the 24 war scenarios run by CSIS, which stated that the project was necessary because previous government and private war simulations were too narrow or too opaque to provide the public and policymakers with a true picture of how a conflict across the Taiwan Strait might play out. There is no unclassified war game looking at the US-China conflict out there, said Mark Kantian, one of the project's 3 leaders and a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The unclassified games are usually only played once or twice. CSIS played the wargame 24 times in order to answer 2 fundamental questions. Would the invasion succeed? And if so, at what cost? CSIS reported that the likely answers to these 2 questions are no and enormous. According to reports, hundreds of ships, hundreds of aircraft, and thousands of service members are lost by the United States and Japan. Such losses would harm the United States' global standing for many years. The US Navy lost 2 aircraft carriers and 10 to 20 large service combatants in most scenarios. In 3 weeks of combat, approximately 3,200 US troops would be killed, nearly half of what the US lost in 2 decades of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, China is no better. China is also suffering greatly. Its navy is in shambles, the core of its amphibious forces is broken, and tens of thousands of soldiers have been taken prisoner, it stated. Considering the predictions, China would lose 10,000 troops, as well as 155 combat aircraft and 130 major ships. Even if Chinese invasion fails, the scenarios for Taiwan paint a bleak future. While Taiwan's military remains intact, it has been severely degraded and has been left to defend a damaged economy on an island without electricity or basic services. The island's army would suffer approximately 3,500 casualties, and all 26 destroyers and frigates in its navy would be sunk, according to the report. If China attacks US military bases on Japanese soil, Japan will lose more than 100 combat aircrafts and 26 warships. CSIS, on the other hand, stated that it did not want its report to imply that a war over Taiwan was inevitable, if not probable. According to the report, the Chinese leadership may pursue a policy of diplomacy isolation, grey zone pressure, and economic coercion against Taiwan. An outright Chinese invasion of Taiwan, according to Dan Grazier, a senior defense policy fellow at the Project of Government Oversight, is extremely unlikely. Such a military operation would immediately disrupt the imports and exports of which the Chinese economy demands for survival, and disrupting this trade risks the Chinese economy collapsing in short order. China relies on food and fuel imports to power its economic engine, and it has little leeway. Yet, this may not be the case. China has proclaimed that restoring control of Taiwan is its top foreign objective. That alone is an intriguing concept, one that many overlook as being opposed by history. In 1895, China's Qin Emperor gave Formosa to Japan, and it remained under Japanese authority for the next 50 years. It was then restored to the Kuomintang administration rather than the Communist Party. One might claim that the KMT administration has sovereign rights over Taiwan. This will not satisfy Beijing's allegations. If Beijing attempted a grab, it might be met by a naval and air blockade, sanctions, and an internal political coup in Taiwan. China may threaten to demolish Taiwan in order to force a submission, rendering an amphibious attack unnecessary. But a less expensive porcupine defence will ensure that the amphibious situation is forever removed. The more important concern is the likelihood of China taking non-military actions while threatening to use force. It is where we should concentrate our efforts.